When I first started this world months ago, I started out with some tree farms, right? I think this is what most people do when they're playing with Create Mod. And then I recently expanded over here and I added in some more farms. These are moving so fast you can barely see them doing anything. But we're farming watermelons and I got wheat growing for stuff I'm going to need for the Whiz Wit. And I also unlocked the ability for creative flight using just dire things. And in turn can now see my tree farm from above. And it's kind of clear to me what I've actually built here. We need to fix that. Found a solution.
The music cut, cut. The music cut, the music, the music cut, the music was so much faster.
I think we nailed it. This frog's going to be a little different, though. It might have a big... There's going to be something coming out the rear. Cheez Whiz, I need you to lock it in. You were worried about the chains going through his derriere, and I was kind of more worried about the tongue. That's the frog's tongue. Kind of debatable. What's not up for debate today, though, is at some point, this frog is going to be pooping Cheez Whiz. And in order to accomplish that, we need milk. And I need a cow over here because I think I made myself an automatic milker. Now we have to choose. Which big cow will ride the goo? Froggy waits with tongue so true. One sweet moo makes cheesy goo. Milk goes in, then with a fizz, out the frog comes Cheez Whiz. Fate decides, not me or you. Eeny, meeny, miny, moo. You're the big wiener. You're coming with me, What I got going on here is this thing is going to milk, boom, deployer, right? He's got a bucket in his hand. It's going to drop milk bucket onto the item drain. This faucet's going to pour it into the fluid tank, which is the frog's backpack now. This mechanical arm's going to grab it off of this depot, put it back in here when it's a bucket. Should just keep on rocking. But I got to get the... Boom, boom. Aha! We're getting milk. Sick. All right, cool. We're one step closer to the ultimate kit. We got to start by making solid cheese, which is milk, the time crystal block, orange dye, and it needs to be superheated. And guess what tube doesn't have And I already started setting up an area where I can make blaze cakes right here. Just needed the press, and I need to make a cake so that I can set this recipe filter on the deal. Boom, there's our blaze cake. He's gonna go there. We can send him back to main input, and I'm gonna show you why in a second. So at main input, this is our main item vault. I'm pulling out two things here. One is an empty bucket. The second one will be that blaze cake, and it sends it over in here yonder where I have my infinite lava source set up. It'll get pulled onto this depot. I'm glad I was stuck on there. That's awesome. And get dumped on here, filled, boom. And then here I'm pulling out a filled lava bucket and now filled blaze cake. And that will send it right back into the system. And now we have our blaze cake on the item vault. I should just be able to hit this lever on. He'll send it. It'll go to the main storage up here at some point. He eats it. It should be pulled out right away. Boom, it's going here, and it should fill it. Hopefully it works. I have a filter in here. Work like that. Boom, we got our full blaze cake. Let me grab that just in case there's some kind of prize. There is no prize. You can go back and make this one, the actual blaze cake, and we're going to tell it and lie to it and say this makes it, and that makes it. And I want you to hold 16, and you're going to do it at blaze cake. Cake mystery solved. Now we need to figure out how are we going to get them over to here. And what I think makes sense to me is we're going to do here. Boom. Here. Boom. And And let's do something like this, because this is going to be my point of entrance into the frog. And we'll have like the export coming out down lower, I guess, where the Cheez Whiz will leave the man. So if I do something like this, that should make an item vault big enough that I have 6 points of access at the bottom. And we're going to add a packager. And we need a frog man right there. Boom. You're going to be frog man. We have the cheese, finally. And after hours of rearranging things inside here, I think I'm ready to make the whiz. Temporary setup, not temporary. Temporarily hand feeding this for now, just to get things grooving. I got the cheese on the depot. I'm going to pull it off onto the belt. Stamp, stamp. Glass bottle goes in there. And if I can get around here, ancient debris goes in there. So for now, what I'm going to do is just feed auto. The only thing I had to automate is getting ancient debris over here when I need it. And those should be locked and loaded. They are. This guy's going to pull the whiz off of here, put it into the depot along with the glass bottle that it's going to make, hopefully, if this recipe actually does its thing. And I trust in the DarkLotus, so I know it's going to work. You're going to pull from there. Stamp, stamp, bong, bong. Got whiz. Pull the bottle out. We got whiz. Let's freaking go. All right, now what do you got to do with this stuff? You got to drain it, and then you get 250 millibuckets and the bottle back. So we now have 250 millibuckets of the world's most expensive cheese, but we need 1,000. And it has to end up in a spout in order to make the Whiz Wit Sambo. And my idea, I think I've told you this already, is this thing's going to poop out Cheez Whiz. So we want to do it and bring it out back here. But what I'm thinking is we're going to take an item drain. Boom. We're going to pop that on there. And here I have a funnel with the Cheez Whiz on there. So my theory, if this is going to work, is once I pop the Cheez Whiz back in here, it'll drop it on this item drain. It'll drain the whiz out of there. And the bottle will bounce off this green concrete and land on this depot. That's the theory. Whether this works or not has yet to be seen. Boom, perfect. And that dude feeds it back into that deployer, so that'll just continuously rock. Now we got to get the whiz out of the item drain, and we need to make a pump. Boom. And we're going to drain it. How do we want to do this? We're going to pump. We're going to bring you up like so. The pump's going to go there. Is going to get in the way of that thing. Probably not. And we'll bring it out like this. And then really goofy like, we'll bring it down. Where do I want to assemble this thing? Probably here. Spout. Boom. And then I'll put an assembly line here. That's going to be our frog pooping Cheez Whiz. Where are my cogwheels? Is this going to work? Boom. We got 250 in there. One more bracket. Boom. I think that looks legit enough. And we now have our frog pooping Cheez Whiz. It's not fully automated yet because that involves me setting up Bobby McGee to bring over time crystals from here, assembling the block, grabbing from in here netherite debris, ancient debris, bringing all that stuff over to here. But that's kind of boring to watch, and it's going to be a struggle to figure out how to get it to work. So here's where I wrap up the video and say thank you for watching my frog poop Cheez Whiz. Peace.